Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Barbara, this is Bookworm.wander, and I'm so happy that you are here today because today I want to talk about the books that I read in December of 2021. December was a very interesting reading month for me because I wanted to read so many books and complete all the different kinds of challenges, but December actually ended up being very difficult for me regarding my mental health, and I was struggling a lot in December, so I didn't get to read as much as I wanted to. Nevertheless, I still managed to read 6 books, which is, I think, pretty good looking back at it. 6 books, in total 1,940 pages, which is approximately 64 pages a day, which is alright, pretty good, I think, considering everything that was happening in December. And actually, out of these 6 books, I didn't finish one of them. I just didn't enjoy it, so I put it down. And one of them got 3 stars and the rest got 4 stars. So all in all, I think it was a great reading month. But without further ado, I will not talk about numbers anymore. So let's just jump right into the books that I read. First, I read Starry Skies Over the Chocolate Pot Cafe by Jessica Redland. I found this on Script, so I don't have a physical copy, but I read it on my phone, and I read this for one of the challenges where I was supposed to read a book that had coffee on the cover or in the title, and I chose this one because it was Christmassy, and I just liked the cover so much, and it just sounded like a nice, easy read. So I decided to read that, and at the time when I chose to read it, I didn't know it was a part of a series, but it is actually 7th book in the series Welcome to Woodsboro Bay, I think it's called. But each of these books stand on their own, and they just like have recurrent characters and places, but they are not actually dependent on each other. So it was completely fine, and I was so positively surprised by this book. I didn't expect anything or much from this book, but I ended up so positively surprised because this was so great. It was romantic, it was deep, it was emotional. I actually teared up like 4 times, and I never cry during reading, like when reading books. Basically what this book is about is it's about our main character, Tara Porter, who lives in Woodsboro Bay, and she owns this cafe called Chocolate Pot Cafe, and we follow the story from her point of view. The book is essentially a romance, but it is much more focused on the character development of Tara and how she overcomes or how she tries to deal with and overcomes her trauma from the past, and how she finds friends that she can trust and she can lean on to when she needs to, which she never used to do. And it's about basically her character development, and I loved it so much. It was so emotional. It even says that a few minutes of courage might change your life, and this is an reoccurring theme throughout the book, where she basically finds courage to talk to people more and to open up more to people, and this basically helps her to find herself. And I really enjoyed this. I didn't expect it to be so deep and so touching, but it really was. We also have romance trope, enemies to lovers, which I usually don't like, but this one was done so well. It wasn't too easy. They took their time, and I just love this book so much. I gave it 4 stars, and I definitely want to come back to this author for more because I really enjoyed it. It was great. Next book I read was Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston, and this book is the first book in the Supernatural Investigation series. Yes, Supernatural Investigation series. I listened to this also on Script, I believe, but I listened to the audiobook, so I don't have a physical copy again. And this is a middle grade fantasy book about Amari, who is, I think she's around 13 or 15 or something like that, and her brother goes missing, and she doesn't believe that he's dead, even though the police says so. They gave up on searching for him, but she believes he is not dead, and she decides to go search for him. She finds this suitcase in her closet in the room left by her brother, explaining to her that she was invited to this supernatural affairs building. Anyway, she goes to this place over the summer. It's basically like a camp for supernatural children, or children with supernatural abilities, and she spends the summer there, and at the end of the summer they go through tryouts to see if they will qualify for the next year, for the next step of their education in supernatural world. And basically this is also part of the blurb, so this is not a spoiler, that her superpower supernatural ability is one that is illegal in the world, and so basically everybody in the school automatically becomes her enemy, because everybody fears her. Nobody understands how where she got this power, and why she should stay in the school. And this was so good. I love the world building. I love the characters because they're like diverse, and all of them were unique and different in a way, and just so great. I love the plot because while it is a little bit predictable, it was also very enjoyable and action-packed, but not too much. So from all of this, I get a little bit vibes from Harry Potter and Percy Jackson mixed in a little bit, but not like completely at all. It was all on its own. It was really great, and I didn't expect the ending. Yeah, the ending surprised me very much, and I would be really open to read the next one. And if I read it as a 15-year-old, I'm sure I would give this 5 stars. This was brilliant. For me as an adult, this is not a 5-star book, even though I really enjoyed it. It was a very strong 4 stars, and I would be open to read the next book in the series for sure. Next book I read was Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. First of all, I want to give a shout out to the cover. How gorgeous is the cover? And also the spine. Yeah, so this is basically Greek mythology retelling about Ariadne, who is a princess of Crete, and her brother is the Minotaur. And basically this is her story, where she is there when her mother gives birth to Minotaur, and she helps her mother raise the Minotaur. But eventually he anyway becomes a monster, so they lock him up in the labyrinth under the palace. Since this was basically a punishment from Athens, Crete asks for basically repayment from Athens. So from Athens, every year they get 12 children who go into the labyrinth and feed, or they are basically feed for the Minotaur. Yeah, if you don't know, Minotaur actually is half bull, half human. And now our story kind of starts developing more when Theseus, a prince of Athens, comes to Crete as one of the tributes and goes and tries to kill the Minotaur, and Ariadne is thinking to help him do it. And so basically Ariadne believes this is a wrong thing to have 12 children every year just lock up with the Minotaur for Minotaur to eat, so she wants to help Theseus to kill her brother Minotaur. And she does help him and runs away with him, but things might not be as perfect as she expected them to be. And from there we follow both Ariadne and her younger sister Phaedra. And we read this as a book club with my friends, and we haven't actually had a discussion yet. And one of the girls, Kay, actually said that she didn't like it very much because the writing was all over the place. Everything was just like, it didn't work for her. While I see where she's coming from, I loved it. I thought the writing was beautiful, and like the way she sets up the atmosphere and the surroundings, the world. I felt like I was on a Greek island, and it was December, so this was a perfect get out for me, perfect escape, where I just felt like I was in Greece in the sunshine, and I just enjoyed it so much. I love the story. It was a feminist take on the story for sure. Where Ariadne and Phaedra refuse to be dominated by men. And yeah, I really loved it, and I'm absolutely excited to read next book by Jennifer Saint that is coming out this year called Electra, also Greek mythology retelling. So I'm really excited about that. This was 4 stars, beautiful cover, great book, I recommend. Next book I read or tried to read, listened to, was The Christmas Escape by Sarah Morgan. This is my first book I read by Sarah Morgan, and I expected a cute Christmassy rom-com, and I expected something really cheerful and really emotional after The Starry Skies Over the Chocolate Pot Cafe that I read earlier in the month, and it was nothing like that. Like, the cover is the best thing about the book. I gave up 100 pages in. After 100 pages I was just like, well, I'm just not enjoying it. And I don't think it was particularly bad book. I just didn't feel like reading it. It didn't feel festive. It felt very abusive and manipulative, and that's just not the mood I want to be in during Christmas, or I don't expect from a book that is supposed to be Christmassy. So this was absolutely book not for me. There was a typical miscommunication trope, which didn't make sense at all for me. Yeah, and it just didn't sit right with me, because there was even this really powerful woman character who was killing it in her job and was really high up in her firm. But then she meets this guy that she had some conflict with 10 years ago or something, and they keep talking about this conflict and how if they'll be able to deal with it and get over it. Apparently not, since that was 5 years ago. But now they keep bitching at each other, and they're really mean to each other, and we never really know what actually happened between them. I know this is only first 100 pages, but I just didn't like it, so I just put it down. That's the story of The Christmas Escape. It was not an escape. And the next book I read was The Sisters of the Winterwood by Rena Rosner. So this is a YA fantasy book based on real historic events, so it's kind of a historical fiction too. It is also a retelling of folk tales, especially focused on Ukrainian folk tales and Jewish tales. And it's also a murder mystery, because there is a murder and we're trying to figure out what happened. So this is a really big mishmash of everything, but it worked. I didn't know what to expect from this at all when I was going in, but I was really excited because I love the cover. Only the cover gave me strong The Bear and the Nightingale vibes, and well, the book itself did too, sort of. So we have these two sisters in Ukraine in the winter season, whose parents now decide to leave to rekindle some relationship with their estranged family, because the sister's father's father is very sick. So they go to visit the father, and it's very dangerous for Jewish people to travel, and they didn't have any permits, so they decided to leave the girls behind, and they would be able to take care of each other because they were old enough. They were like, I don't know, 18 or something. And they also asked some people from the community, from the town, to have a peek on them here and there. But the parents leave, and strange men come to town, and strange things start to happen. And now we basically follow these two sisters. One of them is kind of seduced by this strange man. The other one is very reasonable and sees that there is something off with them. This one that is seduced doesn't really believe very strongly in her Jewish religion and the religion of her parents, while the other one is very strongly Jewish and thinks that everything that dad says is right. So we have these really counterpoints, and it was really interesting to see them care for each other and take care of each other while having very opposite views. So that was really interesting. Also, the book is told from the two different point of views of these girls. One of them was actually in verse that didn't rhyme. So it felt a little bit like we got to know this sister a little bit less than the other one, but it didn't really take away from the story that much. And overall, I really enjoyed it. I think it is quite forgettable. So I read it 2 months ago, and I already have a little bit fade. It's a little bit faded. I don't really know what happens all that much. But I really enjoyed it. Some things were very unexpected, and I was really surprised. the explanations and everything, the unravel of the story. It was really, really good, and I gave it 4 stars, so I enjoyed it, very good. And the last book I read in December was a Christmassy read, or that's what I believed anyway, and it is another beautiful book, Midnight in Everwood by M.A. Kuzniar. This was released in November, I believe. I got this special edition with beautiful sprayed edges. I got this beautiful special edition because I love the cover, and I just wanted it so much. I don't know, I was just seduced by the cover because just check it out. This book is basically, I think it is classified as adult fantasy. It is based, or it is a retelling of the famous Nutcracker fairy tale. And the author wanted to take the Nutcracker fairy tale back to its origins, where if you read the original longer version of the Nutcracker, you find out that it's actually pretty dark, and the Mr. Drosselmeyer, that in the short version is portrayed as just a nice guy who makes toys, is actually evil. So she wanted to bring it back in this book. And what I liked about this book is that our main protagonist, Marietta, is very strong woman. I think she's 20 or 18. I think she's 20. And she loves ballet, but her parents now think that it's time to stop with this nonsense and it's time for you to marry. So this amazing, charming Mr. Drosselmeyer, Dr. Drosselmeyer, comes into town, and they find that they want to, like, he's actually available and they want to marry her off to him. But she doesn't like him. There is something really off about him. She keeps chasing this ballet hobby of hers, ballet career, because she is serious about it and she wants to go into the National Ballet Theatre and perform there, while her parents are strictly against it. And then one thing leads to another, and she finds herself in this another world. She goes through the grandfather clock, and she finds herself in Everwood. She basically gets stuck in this world. She doesn't know how to get back. Now she has to find out the way to get back to her real world. Now she gets stuck in it. That's most of the book. She is in Everwood. I like the plot of it, even though I'm finding out I'm not such a big fan of portal fantasy, so this I find really hard to relate or find kind of realistic, even though I know it's fantasy and fantasy is not realistic, but you know, I like to have some level of reality in it, and portal fantasy is definitely not it. So I don't like that very much, but even though, okay, I enjoyed the plot in the new world, that was really good. I like the friendships she created, she made there with the women, even though they were completely different, and yeah, she just manages to make friends, and that's just, I found that part really beautiful. The world is made of sugar, so that I find very hard to like be convinced of. As it is adult fantasy, I believe it should have been done as it is a real world, another world, not world made of sugar. That just didn't sit well with me at all, and I found it completely like not believable. I was very annoyed about that part. Anyway, all in all, I enjoyed this book. More or less. I didn't get the strong Christmassy vibes, I didn't get the strong winter vibes, but it had really great points, it had really some like beautiful relationships, even with her brother, but overall I wasn't convinced, and the cover is the most beautiful thing about the book. So unfortunately I didn't enjoy this all that much, and I gave it 3 stars. So that's all the books I read in December. And I think it was a great reading month. It had some really beautiful covers. Like, I love them. I found some new favorite authors. I found some great series, or the Amari series. I love that one. So I'm really happy with my December reading. And yeah, if you read any of these, please let me know what you thought. And I would love to discuss and to see if maybe we found like different things enjoyable and stuff. So definitely let me know if you read them, what you thought, and yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!